Hi, this is Nigel Maynard, Editor-in-Chief of Drugstore News, coming to you from West Palm Beach, Florida, and NACDS Annual 2023. We're back here with my buddy Leon Nicholas, the VP Retail Insights and Solutions from Westrock. So, Leon, you and I, we've been talking now about, we talked about store merchandising, e-retail, retail tech, what's been happening there. The final piece that you wanted to talk about was retail services.
Yeah.
So explain to us what's happening with retail services.
Yeah, it's important, I think, to recognize, Nigel, that services, if you look at personal consumption, people's consumption behaviors, services are between 2/3, depending on how you measure it, and 70% of all purchasing. So I think retailers over the past several years have recognized how important offering consumers services are. I think what we've seen in the last year or so is a significant step change in the kinds of investments that they're making. The first one is around food services. In the COVID process, people realized more people want to order out, and they want to have those things delivered to them. And so you're seeing retailers really lean in on food services, partnering in some cases with restaurants, partnering with ghost kitchens, partnering with others in order to create the capacity for the shopper to go online. Maybe they order some consumer packaged goods, at the same time they order dinner for that night, and it's either delivered to them, or they pick it up. But the retailer as restaurant, I think, is really something that we're watching. The second one is retailer health services. Here at NACDS, of course, that's something we're talking a lot about. But it's not only things like pharmacy, but it's in the growth in things like pet medication and pet and veterinary services. It's things like retail clinics. Increasingly things like not just primary care, but even further here, reasonable, just got a doctor's office here kind of thing, and you can go in, and it's the access to medical services that we are seeing retailers really place a much bigger emphasis on. And then there's a third one that's kind of below the radar screen a little bit, but I'll tell you where I see it headed, and that is the provision of car charging, vehicle charging stations. My perspective is that's going to be a bigger deal at big boxes, at big retailers, because the shopper's in there for a half hour anyways. Whereas a smaller store, you may not be in there that long anyways, in which case you're going to sit around and wonder what to do. And what I think is going to become really important is the integration of retail media into those stations. So the idea would be, say a couple of years from now, you pull in to get and you're going to go to the supermarket, you get your car charged. You watch a video for 5 minutes or whatever, and by watching that video, the manufacturer who produced the video offers you 5 minutes of free charging. Now here's where it gets interesting. You walk into the store, you buy 2 or 3 or whatever the deal is, items from that same manufacturer, pay for another 10 or 15 minutes worth of your charging, so that your time in the store is effectively compensated by the manufacturer who paid for the advertising. The retailer gets sustainability creds in place. So the provision of services and the ways that manufacturers, I think, can align to retailer service offerings, I think that's going to be really a growing part of the portfolio.
Yeah. So of the things we talked about, do you find that depending on the category the retailer is in, that it might be a little bit different, or is it pretty much the same depending?
Yeah, it can depend on the category. I think that is the case. I think for some where it may not be a planned purchase, so those things that are more impulse, they may be more oriented toward, say, participating in some of the more digital advertising, the interrupted advertising, things that would, versus sort of those routine sorts of things where they're more likely to not to invest as heavily, and they may be putting more emphasis, say, on merchandising in the store to drive convenience, or e-commerce activities. With the more discretionary stuff, it's more interruptive, and therefore it can be more digital on screens with QR codes and things like that. So it is going to depend. It's not going to be a one size fits all. What we want to make sure of at Westrock is that we're servicing merchandising needs where they are
Right,
and where the
exactly.
consumer is.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be back next year
hope
at
so.
annual, and you'll have some more insights for us.
Oh, I hope to, yeah, and I
All right.
appreciate the opportunity.